Diddy paid Eric Von Martin $1 million.
27 years since his death, and people still don't quite know what happened on that fateful night.
Dwayne "Keefy D" Davis accuses hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs of paying $1 million in a plot to Tupac.
Don't even entertain nonsense, my brother.
Sean Combs, also known as Diddy, paid for a hit on Tupac.
For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice.
Shocking new developments have rocked the decades-long mystery surrounding Tupac Shakur's murder. Dwayne "Keefy D" Davis, a man accused of orchestrating the assassination of the rap icon, is now at the center of a high-stakes legal drama.
A 1996 drive-by shooting of rap star Tupac Shakur in Las Vegas has appeared briefly in court. Dwayne Keith Davis, also known as Keefy D.
What's even more jaw-dropping, Davis claims another music mogul, Sean P. Diddy Combs, is the real mastermind behind Tupac's death.
Dwayne Davis, also known as Keefy D, says that rapper Sean Diddy Combs was also involved in the murder of Tupac Shakur.
Buckle up, because this story is a wild ride. The murder of Tupac Shakur remains one of the most infamous and unsolved mysteries in music history.
Who killed Tupac here in Vegas in 1996?
27 years since his death, and people still don't quite know what happened on that fateful night.
In the 90s, Tupac was a rap legend, known for his charisma, artistry, and a feud that defined an era.
Tupac Shakur remains one of the most influential and one of the most listened to artists of all time. Now, he's known for his charting success. He's also known for his political and social messages and his lyrics.
He was gunned down while riding with Suge Knight after a Mike Tyson fight in Las Vegas, sending shockwaves through the world.
13th of September 1996, when the rapper was gunned down in a drive-by shooting. He was waiting at a red light on the Las Vegas Strip.
Now, decades later, the spotlight has landed squarely on Davis, who's been arrested and charged with the murder.
It's the arrest of 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis, aka Keefy D, for the of Tupac Shakur.
But Davis isn't going quietly. He's naming names and pointing fingers, including at one of the biggest names in hip-hop. Dwayne Davis, also known as Keefy D, is no stranger to controversy. As a self-proclaimed leader of a notorious Compton gang, Davis has a long history of criminal activity. In the late 90s, he served time for drug trafficking, but his role in Tupac's murder has kept his name alive in the headlines. Over the years, Davis has dropped bombshell after bombshell, confessing his involvement in interviews, books, and even YouTube videos.
Keith D. Davis speaking publicly about the night Tupac died in videos on YouTube and in a book.
Now, with his arrest, he's taking things to a whole new level by implicating P. Diddy in what could be one of the most shocking revelations in hip-hop history. Let's break down Davis's allegations. According to him, the night Tupac was killed was the culmination of a feud that boiled over after a fight in a Las Vegas casino. It started when Tupac allegedly confronted Davis's nephew, Orlando Anderson, over a stolen Death Row Records chain. The chain, a prized symbol of affiliation with Suge Knight's powerhouse label, had reportedly been snatched in a previous altercation involving Anderson. Tupac's aggression toward Anderson in the MGM Grand Casino lobby was captured on surveillance cameras.
Tupac was involved in a brawl with the suspect's nephew, Orlando Anderson, in a casino shortly before his. Now, here is CCTV footage
showing the rapper, accompanied by Suge Knight, throwing punches at Anderson. This incident would prove to be the spark that ignited a deadly chain of events. Davis recalls the aftermath of the casino fight as a moment of chaos and heated emotions. Anderson, humiliated and enraged by the public beating, reportedly vowed to seek revenge. Davis claims he, Anderson, and others regrouped to plot their next move. Among their crew that night were DeAndre Big Dre Smith and Terry Brown, who along with Davis and Anderson climbed into a rented white Cadillac. Their objective, Davis alleges, was clear: to confront Tupac and Suge Knight. As the night progressed, tension reached a boiling point. Driving through the Las Vegas Strip, the group's Cadillac cruised the streets searching for their targets. The city was alive with the buzz of the Mike Tyson fight, and traffic was heavy. Despite the crowds, Davis's group was laser focused on finding Tupac and Suge. Davis's account places him in the front passenger seat, with Anderson and Smith in the back and Brown at the wheel. According to Davis, the plan wasn't immediately clear to everyone in the car. He describes an atmosphere of adrenaline and uncertainty, with Anderson fuming over the earlier altercation.
Act like he was in a parade or something. in that BMW, hanging out the window. Hey, this Tupac, it's Tupac.
The turning point came when they spotted Tupac's BMW, driven by Suge Knight at a traffic light. Davis's narrative paints a vivid picture of the moments leading up to the shooting. The Cadillac pulled up alongside the BMW on Flamingo Road, aligning perfectly with the passenger side where Tupac was seated. In those 10 seconds, the group prepared to make their move. According to Davis, DeAndre Big Dre Smith was initially tasked with firing the gun.
We was the first ones.
Yeah.
Luckiest one, I guess. Hit that corner, gave a little chase, boom, boom, boom.
However, Davis claims that when the moment came, Dre hesitated. Whether it was fear, doubt, or the overwhelming gravity of the situation, Dre did not pull the trigger. This hesitation proved pivotal. Davis alleges that Dre's reluctance to act led to a split-second decision to hand the gun to Orlando Anderson. Anderson, driven by anger and a thirst for revenge, allegedly didn't hesitate. He rolled down the window and opened fire, aiming directly at Tupac.
He was gonna go drink and smoke some weed, and he happened to be hanging out the window. He's hanging out the window like he was in a parade.
Tupac.
Yeah, he was.
The gunshots rang out, shattering the calm of the Las Vegas night. Witnesses later recounted hearing multiple shots as the Cadillac sped away from the scene. Davis's retelling of the event includes vivid details about the chaos immediately following the shooting. He describes seeing Tupac react to the gunfire, reportedly trying to shield himself as the bullet struck him. Suge Knight, who was also hit by shrapnel, attempted to drive them to safety, but the damage had been done. Tupac was mortally wounded, and the attack would prove fatal. The aftermath of the shooting was equally chaotic. The Cadillac's occupants fled the scene, and Davis claims they quickly disposed of the weapon to avoid being caught with incriminating evidence. He describes a mixture of emotions in the car: relief, fear, and a sense of accomplishment among some, while others were shaken by the gravity of what had just transpired. Orlando Anderson, who Davis identifies as the trigger man, remained a central figure in the aftermath of the murder. Despite persistent rumors and allegations, Anderson always denied involvement in Tupac's death. He continued to live in the shadow of the crime until his own violent death in a gang-related shooting just 2 years later. With the other members of the Cadillac crew also deceased, Davis's account stands as one of the few first-hand narratives of that fateful night. Davis's decision to speak openly about these events has been met with both skepticism and intrigue. His claims have reignited interest in the Tupac murder case, adding new layers to an already complex and controversial story. While his allegations against Anderson and his crew offer a detailed account of the shooting, his additional claims implicating Sean P. Diddy Combs in orchestrating the murder have sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community and beyond. Whether these claims hold up under legal scrutiny remains to be seen, but they have undoubtedly brought renewed attention to one of the most infamous nights in music history. Here's where it gets even crazier. In a series of interviews, Davis has made explosive claims about Sean P. Diddy Combs. Davis alleges that Combs offered him $1 million to kill both Tupac and Suge Knight. According to Davis, P. Diddy's associate Eric Zip Martin supplied the gun used in the shooting. The job was only half done as Suge Knight survived, but Davis claims he and Anderson never received their promised payout. Instead, he believes Combs paid Martin, who kept the money for himself. These allegations paint a chilling picture of betrayal, murder, and a cover-up that has haunted hip-hop for decades. Sean Combs' alleged involvement adds a new layer of intrigue to this case. In the 1990s, Combs was riding high as the founder of Bad Boy Records, now Bad Boy Entertainment. His meteoric rise coincided with the East Coast-West Coast feud, which pitted Bad Boy against Death Row Records, led by Suge Knight. This feud, marked by diss tracks, public spats, and escalating violence, reached its tragic peak with the murders of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls. Could P. Diddy have orchestrated one of the most infamous crimes in music history? That's the question everyone is asking. Davis's claims against P. Diddy are nothing short of explosive. He alleges that the offer to kill Tupac and Suge Knight came directly from Combs himself, with Zip Martin acting as the middleman. Davis's narrative suggests a calculated move by Combs, who was reportedly worried about his safety amidst the violent East Coast-West Coast rivalry. According to Davis, Combs feared that Suge Knight's influence and Tupac's rising dominance posed a significant threat to his empire. The alleged $1 million bounty was not just about revenge. It was a preemptive strike in a battle for control over the music industry. Eric "Zip" Martin's role in Davis's story is equally compelling. As a close associate of Combs, Martin was a trusted figure within the bad boy camp. Davis claims that Martin provided the weapon used in the shooting, a chilling detail that adds weight to the allegations. However, the relationship between Combs, Martin, and Davis took a dark turn after the shooting. Davis asserts that neither he nor Orlando Anderson ever received the promised payment for the job. Instead, he believes Combs paid Martin, who then kept the money for himself, deepening the betrayal and adding another layer of mystery to the case. The allegations against P. Diddy have sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community and beyond. Combs, who has built an empire as a music producer, entrepreneur, and cultural icon, now finds his legacy under scrutiny. While he has not been formally charged or named as a suspect, Davis's claims have reignited long-standing rumors and conspiracy theories about Combs' involvement in Tupac's murder. For years, whispers of Combs' potential role in the East Coast-West Coast feud have circulated, but Davis's accusations bring these rumors to the forefront in a way that cannot be ignored. The timing of Davis's allegations also raises questions. Why is he coming forward with these claims now, decades after the murder? Critics argue that Davis's statements could be a desperate attempt to deflect attention from his own legal troubles. Others believe that Davis, feeling the weight of his criminal charges, sees this as an opportunity to shift blame and create doubt about his own role in the crime. Regardless of his motivations, Davis's allegations against P. Diddy have become a focal point in the ongoing investigation into Tupac's murder. The legal drama surrounding Davis is as intense as the allegations themselves. His defense team is working tirelessly to have the case dismissed, arguing that the state of Nevada waited far too long to bring charges against him. They claim that this delay violates Davis's constitutional rights and that the prosecution's case is built on coerced statements and unreliable evidence. Central to their argument is the assertion that Davis had an immunity agreement with law enforcement, shielding him from prosecution for any information he provided. Prosecutors, however, are not convinced. They argue that Davis has no documentation to support his claim of immunity. Without concrete evidence, and then essentially and the argument holds little weight. Prosecutors also emphasize Davis's numerous public confessions as damning evidence against him. Over the years, Davis has detailed his involvement in Tupac's murder in various interviews, including YouTube appearances and in his tell-all book, Compton Street Legend. These admissions, prosecutors argue, destroy Davis's credibility and any hope of proving immunity. Davis's public confessions have been a double-edged sword. On one hand, they have brought renewed attention to the Tupac murder case, providing investigators with detailed accounts of what allegedly happened that night. On the other hand, these confessions have become the backbone of the prosecution's case against him. Prosecutors have used Davis's own words to paint a picture of a man who not only orchestrated a murder, but also reveled in the notoriety it brought him. This pattern of behavior, they argue, undermines any claims of coercion or immunity. The defense's argument about immunity hinges on Davis's cooperation with law enforcement in the late 1990s and early 2000s. During this time, Davis provided information about both Tupac's murder and the broader East Coast-West Coast feud. He claims that this cooperation came with an agreement that he would not be prosecuted for any crimes he discussed. However, prosecutors argue that even if such an agreement existed, it would not apply to the charges he now faces in Nevada. They point out that Davis's alleged immunity deal was with federal authorities, not state prosecutors, and that it likely covered only specific instances of cooperation. The prosecution's stance is clear. Davis's claims of immunity are baseless, and his own actions have brought him to this point. They argue that Davis has been telling on himself for years, leaving a trail of evidence that cannot be ignored. From his early interviews with law enforcement to his more recent YouTube appearances, Davis has repeatedly admitted to his involvement in Tupac's murder. These admissions, combined with the lack of evidence supporting his immunity claim, make it difficult for the defense to argue that Davis's rights have been violated. The judge in Davis's case recently ruled against his to dismiss, dealing a significant blow to the defense. The ruling found no evidence of an immunity agreement and upheld the prosecution's right to pursue charges. This decision sets the stage for what promises to be a landmark trial. As the legal battle unfolds, the focus will undoubtedly remain on Davis's allegations against P. Diddy and the broader implications for the hip-hop community. For Sean Combs, the stakes could not be higher. While he has not been formally implicated in the case, Davis's claims have put a spotlight on his past and reignited speculation about his role in the East Coast-West Coast feud. If Davis's allegations are proven true, the fallout could be catastrophic for Combs' career and reputation. However, without concrete evidence, the allegations remain just that, allegations. Combs has consistently denied any involvement in Tupac's murder, and there's no direct evidence linking him to the crime. The ongoing legal drama serves as a reminder of the deep scars left by the East Coast-West Coast feud. The murders of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls remain two of the most tragic events in music history, symbolizing a period of intense rivalry and violence within the hip-hop community. Davis's allegations against P. Diddy add a new chapter to this story, one that is as controversial as it is compelling. To understand how we got here, let's rewind. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Davis began cooperating with law enforcement as a confidential informant. During this time, he made statements about Tupac's murder and the larger East Coast-West Coast feud. This rivalry, defined by intense competition and hostility between artists from the two coasts, had already claimed the lives of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls, leaving a scar on the music industry. Davis's willingness to speak out added a new dimension to the ongoing investigations. His cooperation with law enforcement provided details that had the potential to shed light on the dark underbelly of the music industry at the time. Davis's claims about P. Diddy are among the most startling. He alleges that Sean Combs, fearing for his safety amidst the violence of the East Coast-West Coast feud, approached him with a plan to eliminate rivals Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight. According to Davis, Combs offered $1 million to carry out the killings, with Eric Zip Martin acting as the intermediary. Davis has described these events in interviews and even documented them in his book, Compton Street Legend. However, the weight of these allegations has taken on new significance following Davis's arrest. What was once seen as sensational speculation is now part of a legal case that could reshape the narrative around one of music's greatest tragedies. The parallels between Davis's situation and other high-profile legal battles are striking. Take, for example, the case of Bill Cosby. Cosby's conviction for sexual assault was overturned after it was revealed that a prior agreement with prosecutors had granted him immunity from prosecution. Davis's legal team is hoping for a similar outcome. They argue that an alleged immunity agreement made during Davis's cooperation with law enforcement should shield him from prosecution for any statements he made. Davis's team points to his cooperation in the late 1990s and early 2000s as evidence of this agreement, claiming that he provided valuable information about the Tupac and Biggie murders in exchange for immunity. Prosecutors, however, firmly dispute these claims. They argue that there is no documentation or legal precedent to support Davis's assertion of immunity. Furthermore, they contend that Davis's numerous public confessions over the years undermine any claims of coercion. From YouTube interviews to his book, Davis has repeatedly spoken about his alleged role in Tupac's murder. Prosecutors argue that these statements not only negate any immunity agreement, but also serve as evidence of his guilt. In their view, Davis's public admissions are a calculated move to control the narrative and deflect attention from his actions. While the legal arguments continue to unfold, the spotlight remains firmly on Davis's allegations against P. Diddy. Could one of the biggest names in music history have orchestrated the murder of Tupac Shakur? It's a question that has captured the imagination of fans and skeptics alike. For years, rumors of Combs' involvement in the East Coast-West Coast feud have swirled, but Davis's claims bring these whispers into sharp focus. If proven true, the allegations could rewrite the history of hip-hop and forever tarnish Combs' legacy. However, without concrete evidence, the claims remain speculative. Combs has consistently denied any involvement in Tupac's murder, and no direct evidence has ever linked him to the crime. The murder of Tupac Shakur has always been surrounded by mystery and conspiracy theories. From allegations of police corruption to whispers of feuds within the music industry, the case has generated endless speculation. Some believe that the LAPD or Las Vegas police played a role in covering up the truth, while others point to Suge Knight as a possible suspect. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged, each adding a layer of complexity to an already convoluted case. Davis's arrest and his explosive allegations against P. Diddy have reignited interest in the case like never before. Could this finally be the moment when the truth comes to light? The East Coast-West Coast feud was more than just a rivalry between two regions. It was a cultural and musical phenomenon that defined an era. Artists like Tupac and Biggie Smalls became symbols of their respective coasts. representing not just musical talent, but also the struggles and aspirations of their communities. The feud, however, took a dark turn as diss tracks escalated into real-world violence. The deaths of Tupac and Biggie marked the tragic culmination of this rivalry, leaving a void in the music industry that has never been filled. Davis's claims, if proven true, could reveal the extent to which this feud was fueled by power struggles and personal vendettas behind the scenes. As we await the next chapter in this unfolding drama, the stakes couldn't be higher. For Davis, the trial represents more than just a legal battle. It's a fight for his freedom and credibility. If his allegations are dismissed in court, he could face significant consequences for his role in Tupac's murder. On the other hand, if his claims gain traction, they could shift the focus of the investigation and potentially implicate others who have long evaded scrutiny. For the hip-hop community, the trial is an opportunity to confront the ghosts of its past. Tupac's murder remains one of the most devastating losses in music history, a wound that has never fully healed. The possibility of uncovering the truth about his death is both exciting and bittersweet. It's a chance to finally close a painful chapter, but also a reminder of the violence and tragedy that defined an era. For Sean Combs, the stakes are perhaps the highest of all. As one of the most influential figures in hip-hop, his legacy is built on decades of success as a producer, entrepreneur, and cultural icon. Davis's allegations, however, threaten to overshadow all of that. If proven true, they could irreparably damage Combs' reputation and cast a shadow over his contributions to music and culture. Even if the allegations are not substantiated, the mere association with such a high-profile case could have lasting implications for Combs' career. As the trial approaches, the world will be watching closely. The courtroom will not just be a venue for legal arguments, it will be a stage where the legacy of an entire era of hip-hop is put to the test. Fans, critics, and historians alike will scrutinize every detail, looking for answers to questions that have lingered for decades. Will Davis's claims hold up under the weight of legal scrutiny, or will they crumble, leaving the mystery of Tupac's murder unsolved? Thank you for tuning in to this deep dive into one of the most shocking cases in music history. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this case and other breaking news. Stay tuned. This story is far from over.